Right now, artificial intelligence is open on millions of screens across the corporate world. But if you look closely at how it's used, the process looks like this. People are throwing inputs at the wall to see what sticks. This is the reactive prompt habit. You ask a quick question here, ask for a quick draft there, and you accept whatever isolated, out-of-context response the text box spits out. When you treat these systems like digital slot machines, pulling the lever and hoping for a good draft, you get inconsistent outputs. Even worse, at the end of the day, you have a pile of disjointed text fragments and no documentation showing how you reached your conclusions. Real stakeholders do not accept work based on random guesses. They require reliable, verifiable deliverables. To produce that standard of work, we have to stop treating these interfaces like magic 8-balls and start treating them like an assembly line. The alternative to chaotic prompting is treating artificial intelligence generation as a linear architectural process. We build the final product step by step. We call this the 4-tool workflow. It passes your project through 4 distinct tools in a strict, unvarying sequence. The operational rule here is specialization. We assign each tool to the exact cognitive task it does best. That means relying on Perplexity for research, Claude for analysis, ChatGPT for drafting, and finally, the human for refinement. You must transfer your outputs sequentially from one tool to the next. If you try to jump straight to drafting without completing the analysis step, the logic of the project fails. You never skip a note. By locking your work into this rigid structure, you eliminate the friction of starting from scratch at every stage. This allows you to condense the intermittent effort of a standard project week into a single high-output execution session. Before you even think about writing sentences, you need facts. A credible professional document has to be anchored in objective reality. Step 1 is research. Open Perplexity. This is your engine for gathering background information, locating context, and pulling hard evidence. Do not ask broad summary questions. Ask highly specific, narrow questions about dates, statistics, and verifiable events to force the engine to retrieve exactly the targeted data you need. Look at this interface layout. Notice the highlighted source links and numerical citations clustered at the top of the search result. You must click those numbers, open the source websites, and confirm the data matches the summary. Standard generative models predict the next likely word, which often leads to hallucinations. A dedicated search and retrieval tool is the only reliable way to build your factual foundation. Step 2 is analysis. Take the verified notes you just pulled from Perplexity, copy them, and paste them directly into Claude. Your instruction here is purely structural. Command Claude to organize the raw facts into a coherent argument and identify the core issues your document needs to address. Now we apply the stress test. Tell Claude to actively look for logical gaps or weak points in the argument. As you can see in this split-screen layout, we take scattered raw notes and let the engine format them into a highly structured, hierarchical outline. Claude's context window and reasoning capabilities excel at this specific task. It processes your factual inputs and arranges them into a hardened, defensible strategy. You now have a stress-tested outline. Finalizing this logical roadmap is a mandatory prerequisite. You do not generate a single paragraph of actual text until this structure is complete. Now we move to step 3, the draft. Copy Claude's finalized structural analysis and feed it directly into ChatGPT. Tell the tool to expand the outline into a full document. Give it strict instructions on the required professional format, whether that is an executive memo, a technical brief, or a project proposal. Look at this simulated output. ChatGPT excels at this exact task, taking a skeletal outline and building it out with clean, highly formatted corporate prose. It handles voice matching and rhetorical flow exceptionally well. This is where you see the time-saving benefits of the workflow. The hours you would normally spend staring at a blinking cursor trying to connect sentences together are replaced by a few minutes of generation. Because he restricted the drafter to working strictly from the research and analysis you already verified, the resulting prose is anchored in reality, rather than made up on the spot. We have reached step 4. This is the critical, non-negotiable phase. When professionals skip this step, their AI implementations inevitably fail. This mock interface shows the human firewall in action. You must read the output carefully and fact-check every single claim in the draft against the evidence you gathered in step 1. Read the document aloud, adjust the tone, fix the transitions, and refine the nuance to guarantee the text meets your professional standard. Remember the power dynamic here. The artificial intelligence is merely the drafter. You, the human, retain ultimate authorship and full responsibility for every word. If you neglect this final refinement protocol, you instantly destroy the professional credibility you built during the previous 3 steps. By sticking to this strict assembly line, you produce work that is equal to or better than your traditional output in a fraction of the time. But the final document is only half the reward. Notice how this 4-step pipeline graphic folds into a portfolio icon. The documented process itself, the prompts, the outlines, and the steps you took, is highly valuable. Presenting this documented sequence provides evidence of your digital capability that a simple list of skills cannot match. It shows you know how to engineer a professional result. Mastering this workflow is career acceleration. You are using a structured pipeline to build a highly visible career advantage based on reproducible results.